from Morsenal Studio B in Chandler, Arizona, this is MayaCast. Welcome to another edition of MayaCast. I'm your host, Tom Shadle.
I'm your host, Kip Parcell.
I'm your co-host, Sterling.
And I'm your co-host, Willett.
And this is episode 197 for Friday, September 7th, 2018. May I see the draft list? Coming up on today's show, we're going to go back after we had our fantasy football style infinity draft last week. We made lists out of our selections, and we're going to talk about the lists that we made. We're going to talk about what we wish we would have snagged during the draft as we figured that out as we made lists, and things that we're really happy with. But first, before we get into all of that fun stuff, we have 3 events to announce. Kip, what do you got for us?
The first one I got is from Curtis Delaney. And he says, "Hey, Tom and Kip, greetings from Houston. It looks like Game Theory Expo. It's a local con whose goal is to promote independent and local game developers, is having their inaugural event on September 29th. And the Houston Area Infinity Gaming Group is doing an ITS tournament to kind of put their mark on the occasion. And he said to spread love to the masses. And, it's at NASA. So how fitting to have an Infinity event there. So that's pretty cool. It looks like it's going to be a 16-man, 3-round tournament that will run from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and will allow participants time throughout the day to visit the rest of the con and check out exhibitors, organize play, get food, all that good stuff. They're going to be running demos throughout the day as well for con attendees. They're doing a charity raffle, and that is going to benefit the Peter Mayhew Foundation. That actually threw me off because we joke about Zach's last naming, but this literally is Mayhew. There is a link to that we could probably throw up in the show notes. So the deets on this, 300 points, limited insertion. This is a Spec Ops, so you get 12 points of a Spec Ops. And your missions will be Hunting Party, The Grid, and Decapitation. They only have spots for 16 players, like I said in the beginning. So if you're interested, get down there. Cool thing about it, though, you have to purchase a badge for the expo, which is $18 to pre-purchase, $23 at the door, but that covers your tournament as well. So they're not charging for the tournament, just for the convention. They have a link to where you can get those, and you'll need to, it says once you purchase this, you need to go to the purchase section and go through the website to where it says scheduled events. We could probably put some those instructions on there as well. So it says, thanks you guys for being awesome and helping spread the word of their event. And no, thank you, Curtis. Thank you for your kind words.
Professor Willett.
Okay, it's always been my dream to say one of these. I'm not going to mess it up. Dear Tim and Cop. Damn it! Okay. Today I'm talking to you about a mid-tier ITS tournament happening at Torchlight Games and Hobbies in Burlington, Ontario. Saturday, September 15th, with dice rolling at 1 p.m. Torchlight Games and Hobbies is hyped about the upcoming new ITS season, so we want to give you the first crack at experiencing it. The missions are Acquisition, Power Pack, and Supremacy, with Soldiers of Fortune. Players are responsible for bringing printed off copies of their lists, both their own and courtesy, physical tokens, most importantly, order and command tokens, and all models following official ITS rules regarding proxies and conversions, as well as firing arc markings. Entry fee is $20. Prizes will be from the Season 10 Tournament Pack. Signed, Warcore, and being of pure awesome, Artemage.
Sterling.
Hi, Tom and Kip. Comic-Con is coming to Africa for the first time, and Infinity will be there. Join us on the 15th of September at the Kialami Convention Center in Midrand, South Africa. We'll be running demo and exhibition games all day long, giving away vouchers and incredible prizes thanks to Pandemonium Games. Our helpful dog soldiers, Speculo Killers, and Riot Girls will also have all the information you need to get involved in the Infinity community, such as clubs, stores, distributors, and more. So pack your cube, reload your combi rifle, and get ready to play Infinity. Sincerely, Henko, H-Bomb, Harmse.
And the links to all of those events will appear in the show notes, as well as all the past events that are still the events that we have announced in the past that still have yet to happen. So go check out the full show notes on the website, MayaCast.com. See if there's any near you that you'd be interested in going. There'll be a convenient link for you to click there. And now let us get into the business of talking about the lists and how we created them and how we're going to run the missions.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles.
Then evade resistance, sir.
Yes. But why are they using such primitive weapons?
Now entering the war room. So here's what happened last week. The four of us sat around this table and talked into these microphones, and we picked different vanilla units from Infinity the game, one by one, like a fantasy football draft. And now that gave us a roster. Everybody had a roster of 18 different units that they could then make army lists from. And since we were using all vanilla availabilities and whatnot, there's going to be no fire teams, none of that. Just straight vanilla lists made on the units that we chose. What are we building the lists for? We don't know. We decided to randomly choose missions from the Joint Operations field of ITS-9. There are 12 of them, so we'll roll a D12, and we're going to play 3 games. We'll each play each other one time. So we basically had to take all of that good stuff that we drafted and try to make what is essentially an all-comers kind of list, keeping in mind what everybody else drafted and how we wanted to fight that, as well as the possible selection of missions. Looking at the selection of missions, we wisely, I think, decided that we would come up with 3 different lists instead of just 2, because I think 2 would have been sufficient, but then there's those missions that you need a tag or else you lose out on some points, right? And so we decided to make 3 lists. So we each have 3 lists based on our draft list. If you want to hear the whole draft process and get a rundown of everything we picked, please go listen to episode 196 and What's on Draft. And not only can you listen to all the picks, we also have a link, a PDF. Is it a PDF or is it a sheet? I think it's a Google Sheet.
It's a Google Sheet, yeah.
We have a Google Sheet link too, where you can just look at all the different picks we made, how they broke down by faction and whatnot. So, Kip.
Yeah.
Tell us about one of your lists.
So, it's funny because they go in succession. So I'm going to start with my 298-point list. Next will be my 299. It just worked out that way. This one...
And then a 300?
Yeah, and then I have a 300. 298, 299, 300. So the first of Strike Force Voltron, which is my team, since I had all the colors. And when I was looking at that draft list, I was like, oh my gosh, it looks like Voltron because I have every color in there. The team here voted for that as my name. This is the one that I went large on. So I was thinking maybe mission like highly classified, or if I'm playing against somebody, one of your guys' lists that has a lot of orders, like this is going to be my 15 order list. And only time I took the Shukra, because it really only benefits you in the multi combat group list, because I like the points better elsewhere. So that's what we're going to start off with. I took the Shukra, chain of command, biometric visor, in case I play Sterling. I can go ahead and use that against the Speculo. Is a specialist because of the chain of command. And then his buddy is Salahuddin. Standard, the Strategios level 3. I was super stoked to have that. Mary Problems is in this as well. Backed up.
So it's a strong pregame presence with those 2 models, right? They're not stripping you of orders or command tokens, right? and you're also not letting them place any reserve models.
That is the point. Like, that's kind of why I wanted these when I drafted them. I was really hoping I got both for that purpose. Don't strip me, and I get to see everything that you bring out, and I get to hold 2 models in reserve. Super, super fun. That in that strategy are the next 2, and that's where you get Mary Problems and the Sujan in this list, because depending on what kind of army it is, I can hold one of those back. Like if I want to do a heavy attack, I can hold the Sujan back. If I know I'm playing one of you guys with like Achilles or Tom with Joan, I could hold Mary Problems back, kind of put her on the side of the table where she could effectively shoot her pitcher and try to isolate those to, do the whole Lost Lieutenant thing first turn. So that's kind of the combo there as well. The 5th unit that's...
she can also get rid of hackers that are in the way of your Sujan to make an attack run or something like that.
Yep, pitchers. I'm excited to use the Zapper, too, in little EM small template. The final, relevant model in the first group is the Hunzakut. So there's my Forward Observer, also deployable repeater to back up Mary Problems. And that's just one of my favorite profiles, even though it's a irregular order, but the Whip 14 rifle light shotgun Forward Observer, I just been playing it in Drews and I really fell in love with that profile. So the next 5 models are pretty much just support. I have 3 net rods and the 2 volunteers, and those are the 6-point chain rifle light shotguns. So they're essentially just net rods that you pay 2 extra points for having guns. So, and you don't have to roll. They can just go wherever you want. So that's kind of one of the volunteers. Super cheap unit. And that's going to round out my group of 10, 9 regular, 1 irregular. Moving on to group 2. This is also more support. Starting off with the Sierra Drawn bot. Now the whole point here is to put this with Saladin, because Saladin is also a repeater.
Okay.
And I know that Mary's an assault and a killer hacker, but I'm also in the second group having an interventor hacker who can buff that Sierra through Saladin. And then now that Sierra is doing 2 purposes, holding down the fort for fire lanes on ARO, and then if somebody wants to come assassinate Saladin, as long as that Sierra's up, they have to deal with that. So...
And Saladin is typically going to be hidden somewhere or prone on a roof, so he can just hide or be prone on a roof somewhere that's within 8 inches of the
Sierra.
The Sierra, okay.
Mm-hmm. So got the interventor in there, boarding shotgun, fast panda, again helping Mary Problems with more repeaters, and the interventor for that matter, because now I have 2 hackers that can hack an arrow or attack. I also brought the Peacemaker in this list. Mechanized deployment, so this is another repeater bot that's halfway up the field, which is also another candidate for one of the 2 models holding in reserve. Because if I want to put the 2 support units out, it's save the Peacemaker to where I can do a really good attack run or move the repeater into position. I have a McCall in there for the 0V smoke, and just for the impetuous running up the field and hopefully kill something.
Who's he throwing smoke for? Because it's Eclipse smoke, so
Eclipse.
It's not throwing it for weapons, so what's he throwing it up there for?
Advancing on the Sujan. Usually that's kind of what I was thinking, put it next to the Sujan. It's kind of rough to be can't really support the Peacemaker because it's so far up the field already. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much there to support either Mary Problems, the Interventor, or the Sujan to where I want them to go. So if there's a bunch of people that have AROs, I got them a call there that nothing can see through since it's Eclipse, and that's kind of why I took it. So it's a really good cover move. Just depends on the table we're on, how things are deployed, where I kind of want to put them. So there's a 4th option for the second reserve model. Just depends on deployment. The final one that I rounded this out is the Meteor Zond. And this is the 80 combat jump remote that's a Forward Observer, has sat lock and sensor. So it's the coolest version of those sensor bots. Because as 80 combat jump, when I played for a short stint way back in the day, Nomads, this was one of my favorite things to take. because it can drop in wherever you want. That sensor, if you're playing heavy camo, is going to be super useful. But also it's a repeater. So if I'm having a really bad time trying to get up the field, I can 80 combat jump that repeater next to somebody that I would like to hack, like Achilles or Joan. And I don't have to worry about like wasting orders trying to get there if there's a clear line of path to just drop this guy in. So we'll see how that works. But that's pretty much my first list. It's pretty spread out, heavy concentration on the Sujan, so I'm relying really heavily on that to do something, as well as the Peacemaker, because there's not a lot of just like boom firepower. Because pretty much the Sierra and the Sujan.
Hunzaku, your only infiltrating specialist?
And the Peacemaker's not a specialist, but it's also halfway up the field that's supporting my hacker stuff. But yeah, so interesting to see how it works. In theory, seems like there's a lot of good synergy and a lot of cover for all of the units, but we'll see what mission we roll and how that one will pan out.
All right, Sterling.
All right, so yeah, I'll just lead right off and go into my specialist heavy list, because I categorize them based off of missions that need good infiltrating specialists or a variety of specialists, things like highly classified. Then missions where it's all about being mobile and controlling zones, and that also doubles as my kill list. And then I had a backup, which was a tag-based one, but it can also do several of the button pushy objectives. So I just tried to cover as many bases as I can, but the unit choices I took were actually mostly based off of U3. So one list has, some extra MSV tricks for going up against Tom's huge amount of smoke. One list has lots of templates because I need to worry about Kip with all of his hackers, so it's lots of non-hackable templates. And then my specialist heavy one I actually built with Willett in mind, because I have played him before, and I know that like a lot of the time, since now he has the Galrail, he has the Keltar, he took the Rassails. Great, I have to kill one of those, like at the very start of the game. So that's actually the only one on my list that has the Speculo is my specialist heavy one.
You're kind of like Batman. Because Batman has like a whole plan to defeat each of the members of the Justice League. And that's you.
I'll take Batman, yeah. It's just like Tom drafted Joan, so there's obvious lieutenant 90% of the time. So just psych him out, let him put her somewhere where she is going to have no relevance on the game, and focus on killing everything else. And the same goes for Kip with Saladin. Like Saladin's really strong because he's got that strategist level 3. Joan doesn't have that level of protection. So for the list we'll see that I built against Kip, it doesn't care that I have to deploy first. It's a lot of bad options for him. So anyways.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, coming back down to the specialist heavy / anti-Toha Willett list. So it's 2 combat groups, 3.5 SWC and 300 points. And the main thought process I had on this is I just had to play to my wheelhouse, which is I'm a combined player. Like, there's no reason for me to not just take tons of combined units. So I started with 54 points of orders, which are going to be 2 Imitrons.
54 points of order.
Orders, yeah.
Just like cheap order. Okay.
Yeah, 2 Imitrons, 2 Ichadrons, and the E-Drone. 0.5 SWC and 54 points.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good base. Like if I'm going second, the E-Drone can make the Ichadrons good flash pull spots. If I'm going first, there's a Q-Drone in the list that he can throw marksmanship level 2 on. So it just gives me lots of good utility. And he's a 6'4 multi-terrain specialist with a gun. So he's not bad at everything. And he's an EI Evo, so he has Sucker Punch. So he can actually protect himself against other hackers.
Does he have any other shitty movies?
I'm not making the joke that's in my head. So after those guys, we've got the Q-Drone. I went plasma rifle instead of HMG because I knew more than likely I'm going to have to deal with something that is going to just outrange me most of the game. Plus, a lot of the units that Willett drafted actually are exceptionally good gunfighters within 24 inches. So I wanted the plasma rifle as opposed to the HMG because I knew that I would have to contest at close ranges against him. So I took that. To capitalize off that, I also took Kurnow and Bit and Kiss because they both have close range weapons. They're both good killer hacker specialists. They've got lots of tools. And I was already taking the E-drone, so why not take more hackers to possibly counteract things like Achilles showing up, a Marut showing up, and then attack from multiple different vectors. Because the only way I could coordinate order hacking is having him on the board. So we got those guys. We've got the Speculo, because she's fun. She's great. That's why I took her. And then I made what I wasn't sure was a good choice, but I wanted more hacking coverage, and I needed a lieutenant. So I took the Anathematic with EI hacking device. Like he's got upgrades, so he can be an offensive hacker. He can support people, and worst case scenario, he's got a plasma rifle and his TO camo and 2 wounds with no wounding cap, and then G mnemonica, so he dies.
Who cares?
Oh well, Kurnow is now whip 16. You know, and repeat down the line forever and a day. So that's Combat Group 1. Combat Group 2 was my... Like, these guys are just here to fill in for casualties. If an Imatron goes off the table, if an Icadron goes down turn 1, I just need to spend a command token, move someone in. They may do something objective-wise. They may just be rifles and light shotguns in the backfield. Who knows? But it's a Gulam FO, a Gulam Doctor Plus, and then the last unit in the whole list is a
I forgot it was a
Shasser
draft
FO.
list. I thought it was just like a combined army list. Rolled me to sleep.
Well, sorry.
And then all of a sudden, Gulam. Oh, that's right. We did a draft.
Yep, 2 Gulams, Ash Assur to round out the second combat group of 3. So it's, I like it. And it was definitely just like, I needed to play lots of combined because not only did I draft them, but I draft them intentionally to play to my strength. Because I know what combined lists do. I know what Gulams do. The Crocmen that I drafted were a really weird choice for me, and that was strictly based off of math. I've never fielded them before. Like, I could seriously overestimate their capabilities just because I'm going off of previous bias of, oh god, it's a boarding shotgun Crocmen out of nowhere, you know. So yeah, that's my list 1.
So very much like you, I had the exact same philosophy when doing the 3 lists. The third one came about because we were like, yeah, what if we get a tag mission, and then because I don't want to like waste one of my 2 lists by trying to force the cutter, which was the only tag I chose, into it, and then not getting to play, like not doing the whole purpose of this exercise, just to put all those different parts together.
Yeah.
Because and I was all ready to be like, no, 2 lists, bro. Come on, be tough, 2 lists. But wisely convinced by the other 3 guys that we should do 3 lists. So anyway, the 3rd list is has the cutter in it. It's a tag list, right? And then there's a list called Murder, and then a list called Specialist.
Nice.
So very much the same philosophy of, yep, here's one with a tag. Here's one that's really good at killing stuff, which I really hope we draw a mission where I get to play that, because that seems like the most fun to me. And then there's the list called Specialist, which I'll go over first, which is the one that has the
Specialists?
Stuff, the stuff to do missions and whatnot. And so it starts with no surprises. Joan of Arc as lieutenant in Group 1. This is 2 combat groups. If this were a normal list, it would be 5 regular, 2 irregular, and 2 impetuous orders in the first group. And then 3 regular, 5 irregular, and 4 extremely impetuous in the second group. But because I have Joan as lieutenant, it's 7 regular orders and 8 regular orders.
Cool.
Plus those 6 extremely impetuous orders. So quite a bit of orders got generated. So Joan is lieutenant. It's not as easy as I originally thought, right? Joan, 4 mutts, right? And everything that would be irregular is going to be regular. Provide regular orders to the army is going to be great. But Joan's 50 points.
Yeah, that's
So-
70 points for 5 orders.
Yeah, by the time you've taken Joan, unless you're maximizing out a bunch of these really cheap orders, you're not really getting the benefit that she necessarily gets in military orders, where 5-point tech B and a 3-point war core are Pano net rods, basically, right? Anyway, so we start with Joan of Arc as lieutenant, and she's there to make all the irregular orders regular. And she's going to do a good job at that. Because like I said, it would have been 8 and 7. And instead, like 8 regular, 7 irregular total. Instead, it's, 15 regular orders. So, and if you've just tuned in, regular orders, much more flexible than irregular ones.
Oh.
And then not appearing on the board when we start the game is the Rajik with Spitfire. I was going to say extra wound, but it's not an extra wound. It's dogged, right?
Dogged, yeah.
But that extra staying power of whoops, right? I scattered, or whoops, I lost a face-to-face roll. Lets him keep going on that attack run that you had planned to bring him in for. So Rajik Spitfire to get in there and murder as much as possible and take away resources from the opponent. Kumo Tail, because I like the multi-doc. The doctor-engineer combos. So the Kumo Tail, and she comes with a Zonbot. So that would cover a wide range of classifieds between doctor-engineer decharges. And also in this group is one Intruder HMG. And then we've got one Infiltrating Specialist. You're like, didn't you say this is a specialist list? 0 Hacker. And really dig the zeros. They're nice and cheap for camo infiltrating specialists. And then 2 Ermendine Bros.
Nice.
Engineers, they are impetuous, and they've got decharges, they got smoke. And so they're between the Kumo Tail, Ermendinos, and 0. I've got 4 in that first group to go get stuff done. On turns 2 and 3 is the idea. Because turn 1, I want their orders to fuel the Rajik when he lands. And then live or die, they can go get their work done later. Group 2 begins with the antipode control handler lady and her 3 antipodes. For shock and awe, run across the table, eat something. And because they're super fast, they got to be discovered. They can censor if I'm facing a wall of camo or whatnot. And I did much less planning per opponent than you did, Sterling, because, frankly, I didn't pay attention to what you all drafted. But
Sterling had a whole printout.
Yeah, only one of us had to sit there and do the metrics for it.
yeah. So they're good against anything. Oh, look, we've discovered you all, and now we're going to eat you. So good. And then there's the second Intruder with HMG. And kept going back and forth between, because I also have the Spetsnaz profile. And so I could put 3 camo out, right? And if you guess wrong, you're discovering a ambush camo. Spetsnaz is pretty good, but then it was the MSV, even though intruders are very expensive. For 1 wound, 42 points. But yeah, it was the MSV with all the smoke I'd be able to put out. And yeah, so second Intruder with HMG instead of spreading my toy. Like, I want to take one of this one and one of that one and one of that one. I tried to focus it in. Then the Guilong. He's the camo infiltrating specialist. I took the forward observer version with combi rifle. He's got mines, so he can play a little board control, or when he knows he's right and truly screwed, he can just ARO by putting one of those down. If he knows he's dying anyway, to make further actions more difficult. The MSV1, I think, is going to be real clutch for him because he already has the camo. He's going to be fighting other camo markers that have infiltrated, and he's going to ignore those modifiers that they use for protection. But on the other hand, he's also Ballistic Skill 11, so he could also be terrible. And then there are the 4 Ghazi Mudawiya, because nobody likes a jammer, especially heavy infantry. Mr. Achilles over here, Mr. Anathematic over here, and Mr. Carantid over here.
And Sujan.
And so
Sogret for me.
right, so nobody likes getting jammed. Throwing smoke for intruders, throwing smoke for the specialists. Didn't overload on specialists, right? Even though it's my specialist list, it has the Guilang and the Zero are the two main ones because those are the camo infiltrators. And then the Ermendinos are impetuous. They can get up there fast. Kumo Tail is going to be the slowest one in the backfield. She does have a Zonbot to help fix... well, there's no bots in this, is there? No, but she can definitely unimmobilize people with the Zonbot, and she can go heal people. She's going to be the slowest, probably the most disappointing specialist, even though she does 2 bases. She's not as fast as Dr. Worm or Sophatect, her counterpart. But hey, it's a whole bunch of orders, and there's a bunch of threat in it, as well as stuff to get the job done. And honestly, doesn't even look like I would need to use Joan until turn 3, where it doesn't matter what happens to her.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is also my specialized list. I called it a specialized skill set. And so all of my lists have names.
You and your cool titles.
Yeah, they all have titles.
And I don't have titles, too. I read them off. Murder.
Yeah, that's good.
Specialists. Tag.
I kind of wrote mine as though they were like titles of books. Anyways, so as I built all my lists, I kind of started with this foundation of the Celestial Guard and 4 Guangxi. It appears in almost every single one of my lists. So just the Celestial Guard, he's 13 points, comes with the control device, and then Guangxi are just 5 points.
How many SWC?
0.5 for the Celestial Guard. Then I got the Moran, and this one I picked was the...
What a Moran.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
Normally I call him the Moron, but I didn't want to do that because he's on my team right now. So I picked the Forward Observer one. Comes with a combi rifle. Although for my preference, he'd come with a boarding shotgun. But he does come with Crazy Koalas. And he's also a repeater, which is valuable for my Danavas hacker, who has Hacking Device Plus. So she could use the Moran as a repeater to throw down white noise in front of someone who doesn't have MSV2 against your MSV2 guy. And she also has Maestro, which is pretty cool. It gives her +3 on her whip and -3 on your whip, which makes her whip 18. So that's pretty fun. Then I got the proxies, which is I picked the Proxy Mark IV, the heavy rocket launcher one. So that's probably the guy that I would pick the white noise to be in front of because he doesn't have a visor. And then he's shooting your MSV2, your intruder,
Right.
and you're shooting back at a -6.
Or your Nisei.
Yep. So I picked Mark IV, who has 2 wounds, which is nice, but he does not have no wound in cap. No wound in cap.
Right, it makes him a little better because when he takes the second wound, you can still then go doctor him back up, whereas most of the proxies with the no wounding cap, they take the second wound, they're off the table.
Yep.
So it makes him even better.
And he's better against shock.
That's why he's so expensive. That's a joke.
20 points. Yeah. But 2 SWC for both him and the HMG guy. Then I took the Proxy Mark II, which is 21 points. I picked the hacker one. So for this particular list, I didn't want the sniper. I needed the infiltrating, hidden deployment hacker. And she's 21 points and half at SWC. And then the Mark V is the forward deployment forward observer, who only costs 10 points, is even better next season, but we're not going to talk about that. Because he's medium infantry and has forward deployment 1.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's gotten a lot better. But we're not going to talk about that right now. Then I got the Gao Rail because he's just one of my favorites. And I was going to since I took the Gao Rail, I have to take the Kael'tar. Okay, so give him a Symbiomate. And that's my first group. Okay. But then my second group includes the Rasail, because if I'm going to take the Kael'tar, got to take the Rasail. Okay. Then I have 3 Wanwans. And the Rasail, I should go back to Rasail. The Rasail is my lieutenant. I picked that as my lieutenant choice. Because I don't have...
What?
I know, right?
I didn't have a lot... I took a lot of obvious lieutenants. right? Looking
I guess the question is, which version of the resale did you grab?
viral combi.
Yeah.
I always pick viral combi because it's 0 SWC. And while Spitfires are cool and Spitfires are good, but a viral combi, it's BTS.
Yeah, I mean, you're at 2 with the Mark IV, you're at 2.5 with the Mark II, and then the Gal Rail is 1.5.
Yeah.
So you're already running.
I think
lean.
Gal Rail is 1.
The Gal Rail's 1, and the Celestial Guard's 0.5.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets kind of narrow for you for SWC, I guess.
It does.
Yeah.
And I kind of recognize that, but even when I'm playing Toha, I like the viral combi rifle. I just feel like it's a good one to whip out when you're like, oh, there's your heavy armor guy, but he has low SWC. BTS, sorry. Low BTS, well, here's a viral combi.
And also, if it's your lieutenant, most of the firefights you're going to get in are going to be closer because it's either people coming at you or they're trying to get to you and you go out and like take care of them.
Yeah, it's very hard to get a sniper shot off on a lieutenant, let alone
Right.
sail
Right.
with all of his wounds and symbiote bugs.
And his nano screen and stuff. So I'm able to be a little more aggressive with him, especially with the Kiltar.
Yeah.
Then finally, I took the Wanwans, who are just amazing. I love Wanwans. I picked the armor-piercing ones because Lewis told me, because there's armor-piercing double action. And he prefers armor-piercing because what happens when you go up against a thing and you're going to close combat him and it's a high armor thing? Well, the armor-piercing can help. The double action won't really help. Like against a guy like Achilles or something. You're just going to tie him up with a random 1-1.
I would much prefer to make you roll, to give you 2 opportunities to fail an armor roll, than to have you roll 1 die and make it 10% less on that 1 die. I'd much rather have you throw 2 dice.
I mean, they are physique 14, so even Achilles is sitting there needing, he's armor 6?
4?
So
4 for fast.
Depends on which one.
Yeah, it depends on which one, but I think he took the non-hoplite, so he's like armor 5 or something?
4.
He's armor 4. Okay, so he's down to 2. So they're fishing for 13s or better on 1 dice. It's not a bad tactic.
Yeah. So there's that. And then I also took the Reaction Zond and the MedTech Obsidon Mechanoid. Yeah. Dr. Worm.
Just say Dr.
Yeah,
Worm.
Dr.
It's so
Worm,
much. It's so hard. But I feel like such a... Like it's disrespectful. He's not just a worm.
No, he went to
He's
medical
a
school
doctor.
for 6 years. Come
Yeah.
on.
He's a Dr. Worm.
So I picked Dr. Worm and his Chaxa buddy. So I gave him a Chaxa.
Checks him.
If you call him Dr.
so
Worm,
It sounds so wrong.
he crits
Dr. Worm
Saito
with Chaxa.
in close combat with a knife. If you call him Dr. Worm. If you call him MedTech Obsidian, he's like, close combat is beneath me. And then he dies to Saito.
You know, the thing about the Dr. Worm work with the Chaxa is it's kind of like Doctors Without Borders. You know, he doesn't have his nurse worms with him. He's just got to work with this Chaxa.
He's just working with the local and just praying that it works out.
He's like, scalpel, and the Chaxa's like, huh? He does like the motion. And he goes, and gives him the scalpel.
Basically, sorry, Kip.
You're
I just wanted to rewind and say that my specialist list is basically the one I would use for the second 6 options of right, joint operations, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we're looking at comm center where there's 9 buttons to push,
Yeah.
right? Rescue.
Yay.
Highly classified. This is where my variety of specialists are. Supplies. I've got the infiltrating specialists to open boxes. Acquisition, though, maybe not. And then hunting party. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's basically all the ones with the button pushing. That's what that one's for. Whereas the murder one is for everything else except for Deadly Dance. And I might use the murder one for acquisition. But yeah. So did you have like a mission breakdown for yours?
Well, I think I did the same thing. Normally, or in the past, I've been one list Willett where I just made the one list and went rolling in to the tournament. Since I've grown up a little bit and can have more than one list. And this is definitely the skill-based list. I didn't build it around my opponents. I built it around what happens when we're playing. We roll the dice and highly classified shows up, and I'm going to have to like doctor a thing or engineer a thing. So I've got a Chaxa that I put right next to the Zond, reaction Zond. Dr. Worm's got D charges, So I put all of those things that I need to accomplish the tasks.
Same as me, yep.
But then I also threw in a couple killy pieces like the Rasail.
So same philosophy there.
And arrow pieces to stop you from doing your thing.
Yeah. So my breakdown was a little bit different. I broke it down based off of not just how many buttons you had to push. So like Comm Center was in one group, but then Hunting Party was in a whole separate group for me, just because you also score differently off of that, and there's fewer buttons. But then I also looked at how many classifieds you actually need to cover going through each mission. So when we get to my kill list here in a minute, you're going to see that there is one specialist in the whole thing. And that was going to be this is my hunting party, because there's lots of vets and elites for extra adhesive launchers. This is my firefight missions. It's my front line. This is the everything that doesn't have 9 to 3 consoles that I need to run up, push a button, and run away with. Because, and even some of those ones where it's like acquisition, run up, push 2 buttons, hold the central console, pray. I had the anathematic, so I was like, okay, I at least have one really durable specialist who can make that last minute run towards an objective. And since he's a lieutenant, he's got the orders to get there. But yeah, that was generally my plan. And then you guys will see the tag mission is just weird.
Oh, yeah. Me too. All right there, Kippers. What does your second list look like?
My second one, and like I said, I was going this little theme. We'll go top to bottom, because all of them are 5 SWC. So my 299 point list was my Deadly Dance list. So that's the only mission that required a tag that's in joint operations. So I kind of wanted to build around that. My choice in the draft for tag, when I dropped the Fracta, was the Overdrawn. And the reason I picked that is it's an Armor 6, Structure 3 tag that you can get double heavy rocket launchers for 57 points to SWC. It's a steal. Super cheap, still has really good. I mean, it's basically an overgrown heavy infantry model, but it's not going to break the bank while we're making lists, like you probably found with the Cutter or the Marut even. It's like, goodness gracious, I get a third of the Marut's points, and then I got my tag on the table. So started off with the Overdrawn 2 heavy rocket launchers because I needed to take the cheapest option. But a whole lot of backup to that. So this is where I took the Oniwaban as well. And I'll have 2 decisions to make, and it's going to basically be based off of if we play this mission, for one, and deployment. I have the choice of putting it somewhere in the center and not having to make a roll, knowing that everybody's going to be moving quadrants, right?
Yep.
So knowing quadrants, maybe put him in the middle so he can get to where he needs to be. If I want to get ballsy, I can make the roll and put it somewhere in between the middle and the 2 quadrants. Passes on a 15, but in a mission like this, I might take the 100% chance and just kind of get him right up there in the middle, to where if a tag comes in to try to take a quadrant, sneak behind it, use that close combat and mono. I like the martial arts level 4, knowing that I can get 2 dice on +4, 16 or higher is a crit with a mono. That's a nightmare for tags, especially with stealth, where you can get behind them and then run in and attack in a camo state, so they can't heavy flamethrower you. They have to take the hit close combat. Even if you get shot by their friends, it's like I get 2 dice. I'm taking my chances. So that's the first backup. The second backup is the Peacemaker, because again, this is one that can be mechanized deployment. It's a repeater, but it's also a repeater that can go ahead of your tag, and any hackers that might come at your tag have to go through its zone. And it can be a good alpha strike model, because it's got the heavy shotgun, it's got the Augsbot with the flamethrower. But to back it up, Mary Problems makes her debut again.
You can't make a debut again.
I know, right? Mary Problems makes her third first impression.
That's like Mission Impossible 7 comes out and the credits say introducing Tom Cruise.
Oh, who's this Tom Cruise?
Exactly right.
I hear he's really
Cruise. But yeah, I like her because, again, she's got the pitcher. So if you go first, you can throw out some more support. If you go second, your Peacemaker is ahead of your tag. So if there's any hackers that want to go get in position to try to maybe get in the center of the board to kind of ruin your movement that day, you can combat them with her killer hacking device. So I really, really like that. Because she's assault and killer. She's just, for 30 points and half an SWC at Whip 14 with all of her Climbing Plus, Forward Deployment, Zapper, which is the EM2 template. Like, she's a steal, man. I really, really like her utility. So she's really good against other, tags. Saladin, of course, because I want Strategos level 3. You have to put everything out on the table. So I know where I can put all these support pieces, and then he's going to hide way in the back. Did take a soft detect in this as well because you score so much with a tag. I really wanted that engineer, and that's the only one that I have in my draft. So that was, I was going to say, I wish I would have took her buddies, but that's for later. To help back them up, I know there might be smoke in other people's lists to cover advances to get to these quadrants. So this is where my Black Betty jams and first song that came on when I went to the Cardinals game last Thursday too was the original version of that, and I laughed to myself. But yeah,
They weren't playing Hot Lana, were they?
No,
Hot Lana.
Hot Lana. No, you're playing Hot Lana tomorrow. You're birds. But yeah, MSV2. Great for combating smoke. HMG version because you're going to be most likely facing high armor. So wanted to take that. And again, Meteor's On is going to make an appearance. It's better word usage than debut.
Plop it down next to wherever the tag is.
Exactly.
And Mary Problems through it.
So if I get first turn, Meteor's On definitely is going to go in if there's a viable spot where it doesn't get like smoked, right? And yeah, take it over. Take the tag over and then start killing their own units with their own unit and then walk it way far away from the quadrant it needs to go to, right?
Rude.
Right? And so I really like that, like with the hack, like the being able to drop right where you need to be, and then it can still be a specialist, can censor things. It's love the Meteor's On. It's one of my favorite units out of all of Infinity. I have the Hoonscoot out there, again, for infiltrating, and the more hacker support because she has deployable repeaters. And there's, again, everybody's going through the center of the board. So that was kind of like my main thought process on this. I'm like, I hopefully can go first. Whip 16, Saladin. You have a really good chance of winning that role. And it's like, how can I put this network of bullcrapness to try to just completely shut down somebody's tag. And then the last one to round out is the McCall, and that is to help advance my own tag. So if I don't want to take on a firefight because there's going to be multiple arrows, I have that 0V smoke. I don't have to worry about MSV. That's why I took it. And then just a support unit. Like, it's a last resort. It's got a viral close combat weapon with close combat 22 and martial arts level 2. So that's not a bad thing to take up against a tag. They have high BTS, but you have a better chance to crit. You can use level 2 and be damage 16 on your viral, so that's not bad. Causing 2 BTS rolls against damage 16 is not too shabby. So it's kind of like my backup to the Oni Waban. If he fails, throw the McCall at it.
Yeah.
So
McCalls are very good. They're much
they are
more than just smoke throwers.
Yeah, they are. And this is a limited insertion list. It's nine regular, 1 irregular, 299.5. So didn't take the shoot because didn't need it. The utility was better used elsewhere.
Did you take
just for chain of command?
Did you take viral combi or viral close combat weapon?
Yeah, it says he's got the viral close combat, and definitely using the level 2 martial arts on that.
And Icole.
And Icole, yes. Only level 1 though, so -3 to their close combat, but that's huge because most of them are around that like 19,
You can
17
make it a
range.
-6 with martial arts and Icole.
That's true because if you do the level 1, it's only damage 14, but then it's -6. I think I'd just take I'd rather have the +3 to if it's up against a tag. I'd rather have the +3 physique and then the -3 because you're already at a +2 to your dice roll. So it's like,
And their BTS is going to be worse than their armor.
exactly. So it's like I'd rather
So
take.
do you really need it?
Well, there's a lot of them are like BTS 8
Yeah, some of them.
That's nothing is BTS 8.
or 9. I don't know.
Or 26. Some of them are BTS 26.
Aren't most tags like BTS 9?
You know,
Yeah, but we each
6 or 9.
drafted one.
yeah.
And
Oh, that's
so it's a
true.
known entity to you that
Isn't a Cutter
everybody's.
Marut has 9.
Yeah, Marut's 9.
Marut's the
what I
one
was
with
thinking.
9.
Mine's a 6.
But we're
Oh,
both
yours only a
sixes.
6.
But you know,
Okay.
with the call, I probably would throw him against something that's like weak, like something that's like 0 BTS. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just finish it
and
off.
That's why it's a backup. Only Waban's going after tags in close combat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with stealth going behind it and then
The
using a
McCall
new
is
order to go
your
in.
McCall's your panic button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just there for support. And it's 13 points. So it's like the cheap order that has a clip smoke and
heavy
can do
flamethrower.
and again, flame. That's a little cheap utility bot. That's not a bot.
All right, Archoke.
Do you have a tag list, Sterling?
Yeah, sure. I can go over the tag list. So mine's also limited insertion because I brought a tag,
Right?
and I'm not bringing Joan and 20 orders. So this one was a little bit weird to build. I had to decide. So I looked at the mission, which is included in joint operations for tags, and it's not as specialist heavy as you'd think. It really just focuses on having the tag in the middle, controlling that center console, and that's it. So it's like, okay, so he just has to survive and get there. Well, I didn't draft an engineer.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Whoops.
I realized that was an oops. So I realized that my best option, since you all drafted the doctor engineers who have terrible BTS, was to get Sepsitor into the list.
That's amazing.
I'm not here to do my objectives. I'm here to take your guys to do my objectives. So the list starts off with 2 Gulams, one's the lieutenant, just to hide my lieutenant. Then I've got 2 Echidrons, the Imatron, and the E-Drone. So there's my cheap orders and 1 specialist to run the support for everybody. Then I've got the Tikbalang, the tag that I drafted. Like, he's solid. No reason to not run him around. Then I've got the Anthematic with the standard Sepsitor, the disposable 2-1. So he's still damage 16. He still has Mnemonica, so I can pass his whip off to maybe the E-Drone or maybe to my off-the-table specialist, the Tiger Soldier with assault hacking device.
Nice.
So if my mad dash to grab your tag or grab your engineer with the Anthematic turn 1 doesn't pan out, I still have a Tiger Soldier who drops in on 15s.
Can you Sepsitor a tag?
if it's got a pilot.
If it's got a pilot,
Can't subsidize a remote presence one.
can't substitute the remote presence one, but he's really there for, I want that engineer. Thank you. And not a lot of us drafted tons of Ariadna, so I know that cubes are fairly prevalent around everywhere. And if nothing else, you now have to deal with your own guy who's now standing right next to everyone else. So if I get really lucky and I grab someone like, oh, I don't know, Mary Problems,
That would make that would be a problem.
that would make you very sad.
You know what's funny? The exchange I see happening right there is like you show up and I'm like, crap, I'm gonna get subsidied, so I would zapper you to hopefully immobilize.
Oh yeah, that would suck so badly. All I could pray at that point is I take her from you and start.
Yeah,
running
you're
around.
like, well, I'm gonna take you, but then I'll put you in, totally shut your mnemonica down for that turn.
yeah.
So, if I may,
Actually, it shuts it down for good. It can't jump, right?
are we counting cubes? Because I just counted how many cubes I have. I only
Yeah,
have
Tom.
3.
Tom just counted his cubes.
I have 3
You have
cubes.
3.
Are we cube
Yeah.
counting?
in this specific list? Yeah.
Are we
That's
cube
funny.
counting?
Yeah. I'd want to see what the breakdown is when everyone's in their tag lists and things like that.
This
But
is, yep.
That's your
what I was looking
tag
at.
list, and you have 3 cubes?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, because you have
Yeah.
20 orders?
I'll get to it when,
Yeah,
when yours is
6.
done.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll talk about
6.
cubes.
Yeah. But so, anyways, it was just a good bet that maybe it would pan out for me, maybe it wouldn't.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but the big thing was that the assault hacker Tiger Soldier, because he's whip 14, 16 if the anathematic goes down and he's on the table, and I could go for possession, like maybe total control.
Yep.
But then I actually got this idea from you, Kip, at the last little event we all played at. I have a Chasseur Mine Layer. He is just there to make you think that I'm at 10 orders.
Yes.
Like, it was...
Give me some fist
I had
bump
not
to that.
seen mine layers used to hide AD troopers very often. Like, coming from Alaska, it's a fairly small meta. That's not something that really happens. And it's definitely not something I experimented with, because the one mine layer heavy faction I play is Shazvasti, and I'm not taking a Cadmus. I don't want to waste 20 points. I already have to waste 14. So, yeah, like, I just thought it was a good way to make my opponent think, okay, I don't have to worry about a hacker coming out of nowhere and, oh my god, it's a Tiger Soldier.
Yeah, no, seriously, it works. I think it worked my first 2 games that I used that until somebody actually, oh, Kip has a Fracta. So then, round 3, people know it. But yeah, the first 2 times, you're like, I'm limited insertion. They see 10 things on the board. And you're like, cool. Wait, where the heck did that come from?
Yep.
Oh, man.
And,
yeah, it didn't work against Tom too much.
I imagine not.
Round 3, but
yeah,
it's a good tactic.
That's my tag and miscellaneous one. That one was actually also built with Kip in mind, because I do know for a fact Saladin has a cube.
Yeah.
Yes, he
And
does.
his BTS isn't great.
3, baby.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
3.
Mid.
He's got-
It's average, right?
Yeah, but if I
Still need
trade
14s
my anathematic for I took your Saladin, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then you have Strategos now.
Well, no, because he's still not my lieutenant.
Yeah.
But now I can make him kill his own Saladin, which is just it passes the giggle test.
Fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cheers to that.
That's why point trading is not a concept. Like, that is not a good points trade. But you're not talking about points trading. You're trading the fact that now he has no lieutenant and he's lost the lieutenant.
And lost strategios.
And even if you lose yours, your lieutenant just goes to somebody else.
Yeah.
Through mnemonica. Yeah, it's not always about points trading.
No.
Hardly ever. So here's the problem. When you've got a tag that's 115 points, because it's a heavy tag that's TO camo, right? Armor 8, TO camouflage.
BS-15?
Multi-HMG, BS-15 tag. The problem when you take a 115-point tag and then you have 50 points of Joan of Arc is that you can't take a lot more things. So this list only has 20 orders.
In your tag list?
Well, okay, so 13 of them are regular orders. The other 7 are impetuous.
But you have Joan, so who cares?
And
That is ridiculous. 20 point.
13 regular. That includes all the irregulars that I made regular. The 7 impetuous are on top of that.
Okay.
So it's a group of 10 and a group of 3. I'll go over the group of 3. First, it is 3 Gazi Muruia. And sure, maybe I would need to spend some regular orders on the Muruia to do some things. But there's a Muruia in the other group as well. And he's got 9 orders in there in case I need a Muruia to go do some things.
Yeah.
To go eat an enemy tag, I have the handler with the antipodes again, because it's 25 points for those 3 antipodes.
Goodness gracious.
And Hoppadoodle do it 12 inches a clip to get over there and surround a tag. And if you don't eat it, you're at least tying it up. And then, once you're in contact, stop spending orders on it.
Yeah.
What's their close combat?
Their close combat is 20. If you can get all 3 of them in, now they're burst 3. And they are physique 17, because they start at 15, physique 15. So physique 17, and they all have AP close combat weapons.
That's pretty good.
So they're going to go eat the tag.
Yeah.
And even if they fail to do it on the first one, cool. I'm going to hang out, make you spend your orders to get out of that nonsense. And they've got the handler with the smoke grenade launcher who can provide them cover, so they don't get discovered on their way across, whatever. Also in that group. So that's 3 orders of the group, right? The Anapodes, the Handler, and the Mudawia. There is and the Cutter, obviously, which we talked about, and Joan, who we talked about, providing an extra SWC that I never needed. Because I always ran out of points before I ran out of SWC.
Right.
And so who else is in this group? We have 3 Ermendinos. Because if you've got a tag, it could get hurt. You might need to fix it. Why not have an 8-point engineer run up and fix it, who might get cool stuff out of his booty?
You're an infant.
That's why earlier when I told Sterling, like, give me a fist bump, I was like, almost said, yeah, fist me, bro. But that's why I was like, I'm not going to say that.
We were doing so well, too.
Caught myself, but now I have to let that out.
So yeah,
that's too funny.
an MSV2 tag would be fantastic here because I've got 4 Mudawiyas, I have 3 Ermendinos, and I have the Anapode Handler. That's a lot of smoke that they can put out that'd be able to shoot through. Instead, they can cover the Anapodes for their advance, get the Cutter in a good position, whatever. There's a lot of smoke. But to shoot through that smoke, I do have 1 intruder with HMG. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yes, but why are they using such primitive weapons?
Well, let me tell you, because the last model is a 0 assault hacker. And so that can be camo infiltrated, like you said, Kip, right up in the middle. And wait to see where the enemy tag is headed. Get on over there and surprise hack it until it's mine. If I had an Evo hacker, it'd be nice to take. But so it's basically the Cutter. It's going to pop out a hidden deployment and murder as much as it can. The rest of the stuff is just fueling it with orders. Meanwhile, the Anapodes can go lock down your tag, keep you from deadly dancing anywhere, and hopefully kill it. Or the 0 hacker can take over your tag, and the Anapodes can kill your engineer or whatever other support you might have. Your anti-tag hackers that you have.
Yeah.
They can run up to the middle and censor and reveal all those camo markers.
Yes.
And then go eat those things. But yeah, so in all, it was only 20 orders, and I'm disappointed in myself given what I was able to acquire in the draft.
That was actually one of my reasons of loving that meteor, because I was thinking of, man, if I deadly dance against, if I do the deadly dance with Tom, your tag is in TO camo, right? Which totally sucks because you have to discover blah blah blah, or even if you're moving, because you have to move into your quadrant, right? If you roll a different quadrant, you have to move, but you're still in a TO marker and you're scoring. So you're like, I was like, man, this sucks. That's why I like the meteors on, because you drop in where you can censor right away, right?
I was thinking like the hidden deployment, like you have to guess where it might be.
Yeah, but I mean, you roll your quadrant and you never know. I mean, you get lucky and hidden deploy in your quadrant. But
I mean, if you're going second with the meteors on, you're going to know where the Cutter is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that was my thing. Sorry, Will, I didn't mean to jump in front of you.
It's okay.
Professor.
So you were talking about having an MSV2 tag would be really good for your list. Good thing I've got an MSV2 tag called the Marut. This list is titled Marut, the Mantle of Leadership. Because she's my lieutenant.
By Christopher Willett.
Thank you.
Copyright 2018.
Every good history book needs a good subtitle to it. It's got to be like Tom Shadle, the master at work.
No. It's Tom Shadle, subtitle, :
Yes. Perfect.
Because you can't just publish a book with asshole on the cover. So you need a synonym.
Yeah, we got to.
You wait till you get to the credits. I'd like to thank my publicist and everyone else who put up with me.
Oh, man.
All right. So I picked the Marut, who is BS15, MSV2.
I'm not always an asshole, though. I'm just a semicolon.
Armor 8, BTS 9, multi-HMG, and Strategos level 3.
Yeah, I hear it's good.
Yeah, it's super awesome. But you were talking
So
about...
it gets et by Anapodes.
It's true. I'm really nervous if I have to face something like that. Although it was funny that you were talking about 115-point tag. Mine's 120 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I picked 3 proxies. I did the Mark V
Which
again.
make up for all those extra points.
It's true. I took the Proxy Mark V with the 2 submachine guns, forward observer. the Mark IV heavy rocket launcher, and the Mark II hacker again. So again, I kind of went with the same. That's kind of why I picked these three, because these are the three profiles I really like, the loadouts that I really like. I picked the hacker over the sniper because it's an assault hacker. And if we're playing Deadly Dance...
And it's hidden.
Yes.
Perfect for this mission.
Yep, I could plant her right next to the box. I also picked a DAS-U hacker, who's a killer hacking device, and she's hidden deployment. And
That's good. So, yeah, she can come out of nowhere to kill the thing that you thought you were going to take over their tag with.
Yeah.
Just come out of hidden deployment and they never knew it was there.
Which is what's your assault hacker?
Mine is a 0.
And that has camo?
It does.
Yeah. And then, Sterling, what's yours? Hacker?
Tiger Soldier.
See? Yeah, I think I would try
Not even on the table.
It's true. Kip, what's your killer hacker? Or what's your assault hacker?
My killer and assault are the same person, and it's Mary Problems.
Okay, good. So now I know which of the three to target. The point is that's probably what I try to aim for, is whatever their assault hacker is, I try to use the DAS-U to undo it. She also has no in cap. So a lot of times I feel like with hacking, it can be very swingy one way or the other. Even if you're AROing, it could totally go wrong on me. And the damage is often high. It's like sometimes it's 15 or 16. So with the DAS-U, even though she has 0 PTS, she does have no wounding cap. So hopefully she can survive. Unless it's a shock program. Is that Red Rum?
No. The only thing that goes past no wound cap still doesn't. It's Maestro. Maestro just puts you straight into unconscious.
Straight to unconscious?
Straight to unconscious. So you have to unconscious someone, then good night them, and that's the quickest way to get someone to dead versus just blowing their skull out with Skullbuster, honestly.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that if I mess up a hacking attempt, she'll survive. Then I have my foundation again of the Celestial Guard and for Kwang Shi. You said your Icadron, Imatron, and drone.
E-drone, yep.
E-drone cost how much again?
54 points, 0.5 SWC for 5 orders.
So mine's 0.5, and it's 33 points.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure.
But you don't have an Evo hacker in there.
No, I don't.
You don't have Evo hackers. You don't have baggage.
True. Or flamethrowers.
Or flamethrowers.
I have chain rifles. But
I've got 2.
I know. I thought it was just interesting how you listed that. I was kind of like, oh, yeah, this is what I got. And then, Tom, how many points was your little base? It was like 200 points. Order monkeys.
I mean, the Motowias are 5.
Yeah.
Their Mendinos are 8.
Yeah.
Morlocks are 6.
Yeah.
I've got all those things.
You take like 200 points of them. Got it. Next, I have Brando Castro. And this is what I cut Kodali for.
Oh, right.
You've got the Fide, Sterling's got the Speculo, and I felt like, man, I really could use something that could jump into their area. And I thought about how many times Zach uses Brando Castro on me, rains on my parade. And then finally ended with the MedTech Dr. Worm and his Chaxa nurse, a.k.a. Hawkeye. Is the name of the nurse. He gave him a name because he can't pronounce the Chaxa name because it's like a fart.
It's a pheromone, yeah.
Yeah. So
I feel like Dr. Owen would be outfitted for that because he deals with the McCrep regiment and the Fractas.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
the EI, equal opportunity for all.
Dr. Worm's job is to hopefully bring back the Marut when things go real bad.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're not so bad the Marut's gone. But Dr. Worm or the Chaxa can jump up there. And probably keep one of them on the rocket launcher. So one's going to be prone up in the nest with the rocket launcher when he goes down and bring him back.
What's the close combat on a Marut?
18.
Not bad.
No,
Not bad at all.
not great. Even though he's got a big old sword.
Well, he's got 2 extra arms in the way.
It's true. Speaking of the Marut, I actually bought my Marut over the weekend from Louis Myomer. He was like, I was talking about the Marut, and he's like, do you want one? I have one, and just take it. And I'm not going to put it together. It's already pinned and everything. And thank God for Louis having sat there and done that. So I get this tiny baggie of metal, and I open it up and I put it all together, and he's already drilled.
Let's be clear. That tiny baggie, because I saw it, that tiny baggie in no way looks like it could possibly be containing all of the pieces for a tag.
That's right.
Yeah.
And yet...
Yes, it did. It was just a little tiny little baggie taped to a base that said Marut on it. I thought about leaving it like that, but
That's what I thought you should have done. Just put that on the field.
so I ended up putting it together, and he had already like drilled all the holes and everything. It went together beautifully, and I just can't imagine putting another one together. So probably not going to play the 2 Marut list in OSS because I just can't see myself building the Marut without Lewis having done all the hard work for me. Yet again, riding his coattails. It's just how I do it.
It's funny because you never take them.
Yeah.
Coattails.
It's Toha jokes.
Toha jokes.
Okay, so that's basically my list is just use a Marut, hopefully not lose the Marut, and that's just my strategy.
All right, Kip, your third and final list.
So my third list. So this is another kind of specialist type list. Like the first one I did that was like the 15 orders is more for like rescue or where you have to move around a lot. This one would be probably better for highly classified because it actually has D charges in it and an engineer and a doctor, whereas my first one didn't. So it's just like a secondary specialist list. And kind of what I went for here is we drafted 18 units, right? Mm-hmm. I used 17 out of my 18 units. And that was kind of what I wanted to go for. It's like we drafted them all. I kind of wanted to use all of them somehow if I could. But I didn't want to just like force something in if it didn't make sense. So I basically made 2 specialist lists and then a tag list. I never really made like a murder list.
I agree. 100%. That's why I'm really glad we did the 3 list thing, because I was going to have to leave either Achilles or the Marut on the table.
Yeah, it's like, really what's the point?
Bummed about that.
This is supposed to be fun. Where like, how can you do your mix match best, right? So that's why I was an advocate for the 3, and the only thing that I left on the table was irrelevant, and we'll get to that when we do our wish list of what we would have done different, but. In this one, it's another limited insertion, but doesn't matter because Saladin's your lieutenant, my lieutenant, again. So 11 orders, which is awesome. Nobody can take anything from you except for command tokens. And it's going to be similar to my tag list with a few exceptions. So the main like gun platform is going to be the Carantid. And this is the Carantid HMG MSV3.
So you lieutenant?
No. So Mnemonica doesn't matter. Well, Saladin because of Strategos.
Oh, yeah.
Strategos level 3. So, but the Carantid is an amazing gun platform, especially if we have camo, we have a lot of smoke going around. Having him be MSV3 to where you can just say, oh, you have a camo token on the roof? I'm going to discover that and shoot it. And I don't have to pass a whip roll because you auto-discover. So he gets to discover shoot without making a whip roll, which is awesome. So very anti-camo there. I have the Sophatech. And the Sophatech is, again, if we're in missions where you have to heal something or engineer something or set D charges, she can do all of that. Not a bad person to bring people back because she's whip 15, so that's nice. And this one I have double hacker support since I am taking the Carantid. So I did take the Interventor hacker. Boarding shotgun Fast Panda has been my favorite one. It's 26 points. Half an SWC. I didn't want to spend the extra points for the combi rifle because I don't really want this getting into a fight. And if somebody's going to take the fight to me, they're going to either hack me or they're going to get close to me. So I took the boarding shotgun on both profiles in the previous list and this one. So Interventor hacker and then Mary Problems, of course, because she was my second choice. She's really freaking good. She's so good.
She was one of the hackers I really wanted to draft, but you got her first.
She was high on the list. Single, there's only one of her. So have double hacking. I have the hacking device plus, and then Mary is the assault and the killer. So you cover all ranges of hacking devices there.
Yeah.
You can hack transport. You can buff bots, which I have some. You can take over heavy infantry. So it's like a wide variety of tools. The Hunzakut, because that's the only specialist that I have that can start camoed up front. And again, has deployable repeaters, so she can help both the interventor and Mary problems, protect my Caronted, or go after your heavy infantry. And then again, I put the Peacemaker in here again. Super good tool. Repeater up the field, flamethrower, heavy shotgun. The Sierra Drawn bot, same thing as my tag list. Same thing as my first list. I want Saladin on his little roof perch. And the Sierra next to him, so that my Interventor can buff the Sierra through Saladin. It's protecting Saladin, so you want to make sure he's in a corner facing away, so if somebody climbs up a ladder or climbs up a building or drops on a building, he can ARO. The Sierra can ARO. Hopefully you already have it buffed, because now it's a shock HMG that ignores cover, which is amazing. And to round it out, I have the McCall again. And the McCall is there to help the Peacemaker, or help the soft detect, or help the Caronted. Maybe there's a battle I don't want to get in, and I can throw smoke there. But otherwise, it's a 13-point order that's a missile. Mm-hmm. It's better than throwing. It's 13 points. My other options were like Lion Kazakhs. And I'm like, why take a Lion Kazakh when I could take a McCall?
McCall's really good at punching up.
Yeah, I was like, so it could be a missile. And if it dies, it dies. With Saladin still on the table, I still have 10 orders if the McCall dies. Because
if he dies, he dies.
Yeah, with Strategos, I'm basically rocking an 11-order list. So that's kind of... And we'll talk about it in the end of there's a theme here of why the McCall is there for being a dead missile. And then the Meteor's on.
Sounds like a punk band.
Right. Dead missile. Meteor's on because Meteor's on. It's too good. I can drop it if it needs to forward observe something and my Hunzakut went down. If I need to hack something, I can drop it where that needs to be. If I'm playing camo heavy, I can drop it and just start censoring things. Although with the Caronted, I don't really need to worry about the censor so much. The only way that would be beneficial if there were about 3 or 4 camo tokens that were all bunched close together, then you would drop it and do the censor, so you don't have to waste 3 to 4 orders. You could do it in 2. So that's kind of like the utility there. But
with a 16-inch reach, they don't really have to be that bunched together.
No, but I mean that's where I would use that over like the Caron to just discover shooting.
Almost 18, including the width of the base.
Yeah. So it's good. The Meteor is on it's a killer tool, man. It's 21 points. It is a full SWC though.
Yep.
It's a full SWC, but none of my lists went over 5. So I had the room for it. But if you can make that, it should be 1 SWC for what it can do. It's my favorite thing that I don't see that often ever.
Yeah, because it's usually in Nomads where 1 SWC is a lot.
I know, right?
It's like, oh, I can't take my 3rd Intruder HMG.
Exactly. But yeah, the majority of this is a lot of MSV. I have plenty of specialists. Well, I believe I have 4 specialists. plenty of specialists. So it's half the list. 40% of the list. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4. So I have 4 specialists that can do pretty much every classified. So this would ideally be my highly classified list because I wouldn't be stuck not having anybody that couldn't do something other than kidnap the HVT. Because I don't think I took any elite or veteran troops.
Womp womp.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
Which sucks.
That's one objective that you don't have to worry about because the Karanta just walks up to the HVT and secures.
But if it's one of the ones you draw, then you can't do that. So,
that's the only
thing
like
I'm
highly
worried about.
classified or something.
That's the one thing that I have to get used to. I was talking to Bill, Warsenal Bill, was messaging me one day because he was playing US.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, just you can do this. And he goes, no, Kip, the kidnap is you have to be veteran or troops. So the only thing we have are Minutemen and Marauders. And I was like, oh crap, I keep forgetting that. Like that it has to be, because that's one of the things that I should have brought up in our Streamline episode, man, is like that's one rule that bugs me. Like make it a skill. Make it a skill, because those classified, those things don't even show up on your printed lists. So I don't think I have any in any of my units that I drafted.
It's not a problem I have. So
All right, Sterling, what's your third and final list?
it is the kill mission list.
Yeah.
And this was the one that I built just for you, Tom.
Oh.
Because I know you, like me, know what a lot of the points in combined are and can math out what I have based on that. So I planned on using that against you. So I've got a 10 order group and then a 4 order group. In the 10, we've got 3 Gulams, nothing on them, so I can hide the lieutenant and fuel the machines. Then we've got the 50-point version of all of the Ichatrons, Imatrons, E-drones. It means I dropped an Imatron. For all the same reasons as before. Like, once you start taking one part of that little trinity, you need to take the other 2, because they're just so good together as opposed to apart. Then I've got one of my favorite should be a duos but isn't, and I call it Dat Crack, and it's the Datarazi with the Krakot.
Gotta have that crack.
Gotta have Dat Crack. The Datarazi can run up. He runs up. He throws smoke for the Krakot to advance. The Krakot's the submachine gun chest mine version, so you can either chuck that Krakot at something that you want to die, because he'll just berserk with double action close combat, and then his chest mines will go off because they only hit him back once. Or you send the Datarazi in at something that you need dead but isn't a close combat monster that you're worried about losing him to, because his CC is stupid high. He's martial arts level 3, and yeah, they're just really good together. Is he that? He is 4. Thank you for the silent reminder.
You're welcome.
But yeah, just using them together is really great, especially when you think about that the metachemistry level 2 usually ends up pulling some sort of enhanced movement for the Krakot Renegade. So he can benefit a lot more from the Datarazi throwing smoke than most other units can, because Datarazi can throw smoke on 17s 8 inches out. And the Krakot has, a 2 out of 5 chances to get 6/4 move with some sort of weird movement rule. So he just takes off through the smoke, and before you know it, he's sitting there with a submachine gun and some chest mines to just drop templates on people.
So beautiful.
It's a great, great combination. And then my last pick is for that combat group is the Sograt with APHMG, not the lieutenant. And he's just there for active turn murder, because the second combat group is there for reactive turn murder. It's 2 Nasees with multi-sniper rifle, backed up by 2 Crocman. One is the regular boarding shotgun guy. The other one is the mine layer with combi rifle. And so if I have to put those Crocmen on the table, so be it. I put them down as like camo tokens in order to reposition my Nasees as needed. If not, they're in the midfield, and you likely think it's a chasseur hiding behind that building, because you know I have them.
Downgrade to regular camo?
No, I got the mine layer guy to throw out a camo token.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. And then, yeah, it's a boarding shotgun that's good all the way out to 24 on Pan OBS. That can surprise shot.
That's a good question, because I've never run into this. If you have a Crocman mine layer, is that what you said?
Yeah, Crocman mine layer.
Can you deploy hidden and then deploy your mine within 8 inches of you?
Yes, you can.
Because you should. That's amazing. That is amazing. I didn't even know. I didn't even think about that, because I've never played like a TO
there
camo marker.
There aren't many TO guys that have mine layer stats. It's really interesting.
It's so good. That's really, really good.
Yeah, the only issue that you have with them is that they're only physique 12 compared to most other people. They're only whip 12. Their armor 1. Their BTS is 0. So it's like, yeah, something hits them, they're going to die, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. So just get them in a good shooting positions and pray, essentially. But yeah, that's the list. Like, I've only got the one specialist, who is the E-Drone, because he's a hacker who's whip 13, who is 6'4" move with multi-terrain. Yeah, he can go push a button.
If needed.
If needed, which is usually yes. In a kill mission, he may need to push a button, but everything else is either fast or doesn't want to move from where I deploy it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I ended up with only one specialist in this list now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah, you did.
So, yeah, 22 Orders of Murder. Begins with Joan of Arc, obviously, because she makes all the irregulars regular. And my one specialist, it looks like, is an Ermendino. So, okay.
You only took one Ermendino?
Took one Ermendino. Well,
I'm still shocked by 22 orders.
well, okay, so 15 of them are regular orders. 7 of them are impetuous orders.
That's still pretty good.
And so the 7 impetuous are the aforementioned Ermendine bro, who's apparently my only specialist. Who needs him? And then 4 Madawiya, because they're good, and they're 5-point orders. And then 2 Morlocks. And I took the EM close combat weapon version because nobody likes EM. And if you hit a bro, you're still doing the regular damage plus the EM damage. So, yeah, EM Morlocks. And with the metachemistry, who knows where they're going or what they're doing. And so they can, run up the field and throw smoke until they get into close combat with some scrubs and mess it up. Because Morlock's really good at that. 22, martial arts 2. And then could be super mobile with the metachemistry, right?
Mobile?
Mobile.
Yeah.
And the Madawiya is obviously jammer, chain rifle, or Emarat as necessary. Smoke grenades, pistol, have all the answers. So there's all the impetuous guys, right? There's 7 of those. With all that smoke, I took 2 intruders with heavy machine gun. And so I've got 2 camo markers in my deployment zone that those are definitely the intruders, right?
Yeah.
And then I took a Spetsnaz with HMG. So there's 2 more camo markers in my deployment zone. So now you're not sure which of those 4 are the intruders, which one's a fake, and which one is Russian murder man.
Gross.
And can even do it where the Spetsnaz is the prone one, so he doesn't get his ass shot off. And you're thinking, okay, that's clearly an intruder that he wants to save for the active turn.
Yeah.
The other one's probably a sniper. Those 2 are within 8 inches because you put the ambush camo standing up near one of your intruders standing up. They assume that's the Spetsnaz and ambush camo marker. They throw the smoke down and come at you, and then you reveal and shoot them through their own smoke. Right? So can play some shenanigans with those 4 camo markers all set up along my deployment zone edge to kill stuff. And 3 HMGs is good. Is good, yes? Oh, no, he threw down the white noise because he assumes that's an intruder, and then, it's a Spetsnaz. So... Right?
Spetsnaz aren't MSV 1?
No,
they're just marksmen, right?
Marksmanship level
Okay,
2. That's all they get. And martial arts level 2.
Martial arts level 2.
And ambush camo. So
He could be walking across the table just
Marksman
spraying you with
level
bullets.
2.
giant
until he
air
hits you.
quotes around that's all they get.
Yeah, I was like, marksman level 2. You don't get cover, and it's shock.
So
Disgusting.
super good. You have no idea which is which. And then because I took him, and it's the murder list, I included the Fide.
Nice.
And I took the mine version. So, because sometimes you're about to die, and your best option is just to put the mine down and die with honor and leave a little present behind for your friends.
Can completely shut somebody down by doing that.
And then the last thing that I have that I haven't talked about is the same thing I had in the other 2 lists. It's the Antipode pack with the handler,
Oh, wow.
who can use all that smoke cover to run across and eat whatever they need to eat. Whatever is most scary, or if obvious lieutenant is obvious, or doesn't matter what, just point and chew.
Yeah. I'd say I'm really not excited to play your lists. They seem so scary. So, just thought I'd point that out.
I'm excited to play you. What did you bring?
Okay, so this book is titled Achilles and His Warriors. So this is my Achilles list. So I took Achilles as my lieutenant, and I chose the ODD version in the draft. And this time I took the multi-rifle version. So I chose the multi-rifle version, although I'm quickly learning not to do that, I think. That Spitfire is a superior choice for Achilles.
Yeah, it is.
But the problem is the expense in SWC.
Yes.
Because how much is it? It's high.
2.5.
That's high. It's very high. So by saving on SWC but losing the punching power, I got to take other things like the Danav Hacker, okay, with Maestro. That's 0.5 right there. Proxy Mark IV with heavy rocket launcher. There's 2. So there's my Achilles SWC right there in those 2 models. Then I took the Proxy Mark V submachine guns, but this time really switching it up and took the Proxy Mark II with multi-sniper rifle. Then I took Brando Castro again.
Monkey King.
Then Celestial Guard with Quang Shi's. So there's 4 Quang Shi orders plus Celestial Guard order. 0.5 SWC. 33 points total. Then Dr. Worm. So that was my group 1. Okay. My group 2, I took 2 morons. And one of them is boarding shotgun. So he's 0.5 SWC, 20 points. The other one is the forward observer combi rifle. And he's 0.5, 22 points. I do wish there was a forward observer with boarding shotgun, Moran. I guess the forward observing one comes with the combi rifle, but not everything can be perfect.
Still a bunch of crazy koalas across the middle of the table.
Oh, yeah. So, like, in rescue, you can, like, prop up or, anything where you need to come to a space. I can just post up and be like, koalas. Spend some quality time with you. Spend a quarter.
Quality?
Yeah.
Quality time?
So with the 2 of them, one of my favorite moves is to have them already posted up in the position they need to be when I'm going first, and spend a coordinated order to stand by the 2 Morans. So then 4 koalas are now active, even if I lose the Moran. I now have 4 koalas in the middle. So that's super fun. And then I took 2 Wan-Wans because I feel like you always could use one. And if you'd use one, you could probably use 1-1. So
You can use 1, you can use 4.
I never took 4 in any of this, even though like when I play Akari Company, I like taking 4. The opportunity just never presented itself.
Yan-Yans would have been really good in my draft list.
I know. I sniped them.
So it's funny, as I started making these lists, right?
Yep.
I made a block. I was like, okay, I'm going to start every list with this block.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And then I'm going to like fill it out from there for different objectives, for different types of lists, right? Like, here's my main core, and then I'm going to add this stuff for a killie list. I'm going to add this stuff for a specialist list.
Like your meat and potatoes.
And so the list started with Joan, multi-rifle lieutenant, double action close combat weapon, 50 points, the extra SWC that you get, right? And then 4 Matawia. It's going to form my core of cheap orders. There's, 5 orders right there. And then the Farzan chain of command because Joan's going to be a target, right? And then as I did all the add-on stuff, and I made like 12 lists, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But as I did on the add-on stuff, if I kept that Farzan, I always felt like I was missing something, right? And it's not like Joan is a bitch, right? She doesn't go down to a stiff breeze,
No.
right? And so am I being too scared of losing her because now all my orders become irregular? Okay, so let's think, if all of those irregular orders actually become irregular, how bad is that? Oh, no, it's still pretty good. You still want them to go run and do things. So I may not be able to like Rambo an intruder HMG
With his
that
4-2 move.
that turn if she goes. Well, you're always moving forward shooting, right?
Yeah.
So I may not be able to do a thing with him and spend a bunch of orders on him, but I'm still running up my Moto E and jamming you from out of line of fire, and now your turn's screwed. So you'll notice in all three lists, the Farzan ended up getting left out. I didn't take the chain of command. Spent the points elsewhere. What I found like I was really missing as I was building lists was because I took and probably went overboard on taking all of the cheap, irregular smoke throwing orders.
Yeah.
It did a couple of things. The first thing it did was it made me want to take the MSV models because I've got all this smoke. Let's use it and shoot through it. And so I kept taking intruders and then not taking the Spetsnaz. Or I would try to squeeze in a Chien, and then I'd end up with 12 orders. I'm like, wait a minute. I have all these regular orders that are 5 points. I can't make a list with only 12 orders, and I would like to start over, right? And so I felt like I was missing one of those core, like Fusiliers. Nobody took Fusiliers.
Correct.
Fusiliers would have been perfect because they are still inexpensive. They are cheap, but now I have options for inexpensive hackers or forward observers or paramedics or things that I didn't have otherwise. Right, like that last list ended up with one specialist, the Ermendino, which I don't really think I noticed until just now reading it out loud. When I was but
that's right. He is an engineer.
It's like if I wanted a specialist, I was spending at least 20 points on it.
Yeah.
Right, and I wanted to spend 27 because the Guilang is 27 because that MSV won, right? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's so expensive because the intruders are also 42. So I would have, I wanted some cheap regular orders, even though I had the power of John, right? And I wanted some cheaper MSV because the intruder's 42, and the Shen's 60.
Yeah,
he's up there.
I'll find it. Looked like you wanted to say something.
Well, I was going to say, so since just coming back to what you were saying about
61.
when you wanted a specialist, you were left with essentially Guilangs, Zeros, Kumotail. Because pretty much everything you had was...
And the Ermendinos.
And the Ermendinos. But we're not counting them. We all know that. But, so definitely when it came to like draft picking, I found myself in a very similar situation of... I snagged the bare minimum. I snagged the core of every list, which was the E-drones, the Ixtrons, the Imdrons. And those were all fairly early picks for me. And then I found myself like, okay, grab the Gulams in round 2. I already had the Speculo. Now I just need toys. And I found myself with very few guys that could actually go get lots of specialist objectives done. And then, realizing as I'm making lists, it's like, oh, I didn't take an engineer, period. I have access to decharges on one model and it's Kernow. Like, I've got lots of hackers, but... You're playing this weird hodgepodge version of Ariadna with Joan leading it. Willett's got all the Toha and Quang Shi, and then like
and Aleph.
and Aleph. But like a lot of the Aleph guys that you picked weren't going to be hackers, and I didn't take like any assault hackers. I just had killer hacker or regular hacking device, and then Kip's over here with like, oh, I have memory problems and repeaters. Do you really want to play this game? And so, I definitely found myself like pigeonholing towards, okay, here's a hacker list for I want to make sure that I can kill hackers and then screw everything else. We're just going to worry about killing things. I'll secure the HVT later.
Yep. I actually felt that I took plenty of hackers, got Danavas hacker and DOS hacker and proxy hacker. So I had 3 different hackers. I did take one doctor engineer, and he was also my only D charges. And so that can be kind of a liability. And the Moran is a forward observer. Yeah. So I definitely tried to go for specialists. In fact, that was actually one of my things was I had get a forward observer guy. If not the Moran, it would have been Eclipsos. Get a hacker, and I got a couple. get a doctor engineer. It was originally going to be the Kumatail, but that got sniped from me. So I was definitely going for that, but I felt that I was missing the line infantry. I would I was sitting here building my list. I was like, man, I could have totally used 2 Fusiliers. You know, I could have used, some Keisotsu or something. Just a cheap dude to hunker down and hide and be a cheerleader. Or a secret lieutenant, because all of my lieutenants were obvious choices. A Marut, Achilles, and a Rasail. Like, super obvious.
Yeah.
That was my only big regret, was the lieutenant choice.
Oh, no, like on mine, I knew that my lieutenant choice was going to be really obvious, but the benefits were far better than the risk. That's why I had the TR bot. He's a repeater. That's why my plan is to like match those up. The one thing though is, so building these lists, the one unit I didn't use was Line Kazakhs. And I think I took those because I was like, I need a total availability cheap unit, but having access to net rods and then getting the volunteers, I really didn't need it.
Yeah.
Because that's 5 orders right there.
Yeah.
It's like 24 points or something like that, which is ridiculous. So it's like, man, I get 5 orders for 24 points. Like, why do I need a total unit? So when we did the switcheroo, I kind of wish in hindsight that I would have switched the Kazakhs out for the Overdrawn and kept the Fracta because there's probably going to, like, having that ability to either drop in or walk on wherever you need to be and a 2 wound drop troop that is very decent ballistic skill. The Fracta was my favorite. Tiger Soldier next because of mimetism, and you can be a hacker.
BS-13.
Yeah, and BS-13, but 2 wounds. And when you take your first one, you get better. Your armor gets better, your BTS gets better. So, like, I kind of wish that I didn't panic and drop the Fracta thinking I wouldn't have enough. Or after I started building these, I'm like, I didn't even need Line Kazakhs.
So you left Line Kazakhs on the table?
I never used them because I didn't need them. I literally took them because I was like, I need a cheap total whatever. And then after building lists, it's like it was a waste. The only one that was worth taking was Gulams.
I used everybody that I drafted in my 3 lists.
Yeah, I left. Those are the only ones on the table because they would have been forced.
But if we would have only done 2 lists, I would have left the Marut.
There would have been a lot left on the table if we only did 2.
If we had done 2 lists, it was going to be the Sogarat and the Crocmen staying at home.
Yeah.
And I would have just loaded up on more Chasseurs and brought more Tiger Soldiers and things.
I mean, I would like to have access to like the little bots.
Yeah, I found
But-
myself really missing those little 8-point order bots.
Yeah, or even just the helper bots. Because, I mean, I had upgraded a couple times because I was like, oh, I have the 3 points. But honestly, in most of my lists, I wouldn't even had room for them, so I'm not missing them too bad.
Yeah.
It would be nice, but there's a couple lists that I would have really liked to drop the Fracta in. And knowing that I never used a Line Kazakh now, like hindsight 2020, I think that I covered everything that I wanted, so I don't regret my picks because they were the best available when it was my turn. The only regret I have is making a poor decision without thinking it through when we did the switch.
There were 4 profiles that I drafted that did not make it into any list.
Wow.
Well, any of my 3 final. I made a bunch of lists that had different things, but so Achilles version 2, hoplite armor, right? Drafted him, never took him.
Because you had the Antipode pack to go run and kill things.
Yeah, right.
And
I think you picked Achilles before you got that.
yeah, Antipodes were way down at pick 13. Achilles I picked in the 4th round. That was way too high for something I'd never, ever... I mean, that's like picking David Johnson last year, and then he goes down the first...
Right, yeah.
Pick him first, he goes down in week 1.
Yeah, sports.
Yeah, I did that.
Achilles is on the injury list.
He's on IR. And then the Shien... So I was like, I need more MSV. What I needed was cheap MSV, not more expensive.
You needed something like the
MSV.
Yaogats or something.
And so, yeah. So Shiana never took the Farzan, as I discussed. He was in there, and then it was like 26 points of inert doing nothing.
But the Shuker only made
Or
one list.
he can be, a 30-point Ford Observer too, but you had the zeros, so
Yeah.
why?
And then the Total Reaction remote. I took the Zayn, and I never took a total reaction remote.
Wow.
Man.
That's
Because
crazy.
the other guns are better, right? Like an intruder with an HMG,
Is better than a TR bot
Yeah.
usually.
Spetsnaz. You know, these are guns I would much rather have. There's a cool
Your
list I
Spetsnaz
made.
doesn't have to have the program put on it, but it only gets one dice.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
always has it active.
That's very true. Yeah.
Like there was one list that didn't have Joan at all. Right?
Wow, okay.
And all of the orders in the group of 10 were regular. And then I had a group of two or three mutts extra, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it was two intrude. It was a intruder HMG, right? The Kazakh Spetsnaz, an HMG and a sniper. So now I've got 5 camo tokens all up there, and then another camo token because intruder lieutenant. So it's like for firefight, right? Where he's not known, but yeah. So he's up there as a marker, and intruder lieutenant was the thing, and then Green Light Forward Observer 0, Kilo Hacker. So I had some, and then the Antipodes and some mutts. But yeah, I was running with the intruder lieutenant for a little while, like because it's hidden and it's safe, and then
Is it hidden? Is it safe?
I don't mind the 3 irregular orders from the mutts because they're still good that way. Like
They're still mutts, yeah.
I mean, but I think my point was that there are a billion combinations you can make. These are the 3 I'm running with in the tournament. That doesn't mean they're the 3 best.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What I think would be fun is if people send us lists made out of our draft picks.
Oh, that would
yeah.
be great. That would be great. Because again, like it's basically a new faction. We're playing, and we're playing random missions so that we won't even prepare for. It's like you got to think on the spot, which is fun. But the different kind of mindsets, because we kind of like tailor
we know
to,
each other.
yeah, and we
Yeah.
tailor to certain things. So I would totally love to see what other people would build out of our picks for joint operations. Like write them down
For
That'd be
random
cool.
joint operations.
Yeah, right. You'd have no idea what you're gonna be every week. So that'd be fun. That'd be really, really fun to see.
Did any of you guys have any other regrets or thoughts like after the draft as you're making your lists?
Yes, I really wish that I had the Kaplans. Like,
That's a good one that was missed.
that
was a really
as I
good
was
one that
building
was
lists,
missed.
it's like, man, I've got like 23 to 27 points left over. Man, you know what would fill this spot? A Kaplan. Like,
I can't believe that was overlooked.
And also that
not overlooked.
I had
It's 400
nothing.
profiles. We chose 70 of them. I don't think
Yeah,
things were
so good.
overlooked. So you can't take everything.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, well, we get caught like here. You're like a kid, and you go into a toy store, and they're like, you can go get 18 things right now. It doesn't matter the cost. Go, and you're like, "Ah!" and you freak out. And you don't like
Nope.
stop and take a breath.
Straight to Legos.
Yeah, right.
Star Wars section. Start at the
Right.
bottom, go up from there until I can't carry anymore.
But then they're like, "Hey, you have this. Now we're gonna just scan the store." And you're like, "Oh crap! I should have stopped for a second, calm myself down, thought this through, and then grabbed that because I didn't really need the second set of Legos." Like that's kind of I think how I feel. Like I don't have any regrets.
need Legos.
I had a good plan. I think that I then got super stoked and then forgot about that plan because if I would have really stuck to the plan, I would have took Joan and Mary
Yeah.
Problems instead of Shukra Mary Problems. Because my whole plan was like, go after the unique, the thing you can only get one of.
Yeah.
And Joan should have been number 1. Mary Problems, I got it number 2. I would have had Joan and Mary Problems. So that's the only regret I have was having a good idea of like getting these cornerstone pieces, but then forgetting the most beneficial cornerstone piece of the entire range, which was Joan with Inspiring Leadership, because that opens up a huge. I mean, it doesn't.
But I'm telling you, the 50 points you have to pay for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
I
you
mean, it would've
don't use
changed the
her, that's
list.
wasted. You're basically fighting with a 250 point list.
Yeah.
Very, very true. That's very true.
I feel pretty happy with all my drafts.
That's
didn't-
sad. I don't
I
have
pretty much
too many
stuck to my
regrets.
plan.
yeah.
Just sort of kept the Fracta.
there are a few things that maybe went like you took my Kumatail, you took my Shrukra, but that was really it. I didn't feel like I lost out on anything. Net rods, maybe.
Oh, that was a purposeful choice.
Yeah. But I also
Once you grab the proxies, it's
You were
open
like,
season
yeah,
on
we're-
AI
somebody
beacons.
take the net rods right
I
now.
don't feel like I missed the net rods. Yeah. I never sat there saying like, man, if only I had net rods. But if I could have gotten them, I absolutely would have.
Yeah.
Oh my god, if you could have gotten net rods and Imitrons, then yeah, might as well go grab the Avatar.
Right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Wow. All right, so those are the lists. And the next step for us is we're going to take these lists and we are going to randomly select a round 1 mission. We are randomly going to pair ourselves up and we're going to fight. And then we'll use the ITS rules to pair ourselves for round 2. Where we will, again, randomly select a mission. And then for round 3, we're just going to play the person we haven't played yet.
Yep.
Yep.
For the final round. So we each play each other once, and then we will come back next week on next week's show, and we will tell you about the games we played, all of the things we just talked about. Like, I think this is how this fits together. I got a lot of smoke and some really good MSV guys. Let's see how they shoot stuff. Right? And we'll see how all of those gambits played out and how we think our lists fared and plans for, like, you know, the next stage. Where do you go from here? So that's coming up next week.
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
So that's going to wrap it up for episode 197. And yeah, we'll be back next week with our battle reports. Willett,
Yes.
you wanted to talk about the tournament we had here at my place last Saturday.
Yeah, so we recently just had the Louis Frosch Invitational Tournament, which was a tournament in honor of our friend Louis, who's moving away to Washington, D.C., and he's also getting married. So it's kind of our tradition for these big milestone things to have like a little tournament for our friends.
It's how we bachelor party.
That's right. And so the tournament was kind of like Louis got to pick things like what missions we played. So he picked like Biotech Vor and Unmasking. But then there were other things that were secret to him, like the dress code, which was tan, which is Louis's favorite
That was
color,
so good.
which ironically he did not wear. It's not ironic. Apparently his fiance has commanded him that he's not allowed to wear tan anymore. He had to get rid of all of his
It
tan.
starts.
That's right. He's got to get used to it.
She's got to get in while she's the fiance before she
Yeah.
becomes the wife.
So, anyways, Sylvain. Never mind. Anyways, what ends up happening is Louis got to pick another thing, which was he decided he wanted us all to switch armies. So nobody knew about that. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want people to build like, oh, I'll intentionally make bad lists that people have to play in case I have to play them. So everyone brought like, oh, this will be a fun list. This will be cool. And then they showed up and had to pick names out of a hat, and they're like, oh, no. So, like, I made a list that I thought was amazing for Biotech Vor. It had Patroclus, it had Achilles, it had Ajax and Myrmidons, and a Myrmidon officer and Myrmidons. So, like, this is perfect. 2 Animatarchos and a duo. And this is just going to be so cool. And I didn't end up playing it. Tom ended up playing it.
It was the worst list ever.
And he was so mad at me. And he's like, this is the worst. Who's the specialist? And I was like, chain of command? Apparently I didn't think it very through, but it was a lot of fun. We all got to play different factions.
The blast.
For some people, it was like their very first time playing like a Toha,
Right here.
army. And they'd never played it before. I think it was kind of cool to get to see factions you're not used to playing. I got kind of lucky because I played Kip's combined army, which I was like, I've played combined before, so I'm used to them. I played QK, which I've played before. I'm used to them. And then I was playing Tom's Aleph, which I'm also used to. In the end, we were all playing for only one prize, which was the tan trophy. So I went to a thrift shop and bought a big trophy and painted it tan. And then I took the medallion and gave it to our friend Owen, who made a special decal for it and put a decal on it that looked really cool. So I made this really cool tan trophy, and in the end, the tan trophy went to Lewis.
Of course it did.
Yeah, he won his own tournament named after him. And so I'm actually really happy that happened, because now he has to pack it.
Right.
Take it with him. And I'm hoping that in his new office at some fancy law firm, he sets up this giant trophy with all his awards.
With a D20 smack in the middle.
Oh, yeah. I got a tan.
Yeah.
I got a tan D20 and glued it on there as like the number one, as first place.
That was
Very,
amazing.
very good.
That was a fun day.
And I had messaged the group a night or two before and said, remember, apparel options include tan, beige, ecru, taupe, khaki, light brown, brown, olive drab.
Yep. That was the only and everybody did. It was really
Everybody
awesome.
did except Lewis, who
Yeah.
didn't know about it.
He didn't know.
So it was perfect.
Yes. That was it. It was a lot of fun.
Lot
I
of
had a
fun,
blast.
and we will miss Myomer greatly. We want to remind everybody that the MayaCast Master Glass Quarter 3 is due at the end of Quarter 3, which is the end of September, the end of this month. You got about a month.
End of this month.
So get it in before Armageddon's over, because after Armageddon, I will post all the entries, and it is heroes and villains. And so we're looking for characters, people with a name. Maybe you named it yourself, but probably it's one of the already named characters from the Infinity of the Game or Aristea ranges. And so we want a painted model with 4 final pictures and 1 before picture, because we would like it new for this contest and not shared anywhere else on the interwebs beforehand. So you can send all 5 of those pictures labeled with your name, Kip Barcel 1, Kip Barcel 2, etc. Please change the name of your files to your name with a number, and send the 4 final pictures plus the 1 before to Tom at MayaCast.com.
And Kip at MayaCast.com.
And we will get those. We got a bunch of great entries already. We can't wait to see what the rest of you do. Remember that the more entries we get, the more prizes we give away. The engraved personalized master glass goes to the overall winner, of course, but we also give out box sets and blisters and all sorts of crazy stuff. So the more people we get, we raffle off. It's a random.org thing, right? So don't think to yourself, oh, I can't paint as good as Dmitry Bogdanov. It's okay, because everybody's eligible to get a prize, so get those entries in as soon as you can. Thanks for listening, and until next time, get out there and support your local game store.
To find out how you can support the show, go to patreon.com/MayaCast.
You can find us online at www.mayacast.com.
We are on Facebook at facebook.com/InfinityMayaCast.
Follow at Maya Podcast on Twitter.
Join the MayaCast forum group on Facebook.
And as always, you can email us at tom@mayacast.com.
And Kip at MayaCast.com.
And Willett at MyCast.com.
Fine, I'll do it. Fine.